Welcome to the Play at 3 podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Tisha Poncio, and I'm here with my host, Rick.
Hey, another episode, another week. Hey, everybody.
Another
Tish mentioned,
intro
I'm Rick.
of me giving you an exciting intro.
I know. It's getting better and better. It's not just Rick. It's Rick. I'm
Well,
loving it. It's a lot
okay,
more
good.
exciting. A lot more exciting. So you're getting better. I mean, what, we're 40 something episodes in now. It's crazy to think. It's now April, 4th month of the year of
We're already in
2026.
April? Oh
We
my
are already in
gosh.
April. It's
That's
crazy, isn't it?
crazy.
How is it already April? But I've got an interesting kind of topic to go through with you, because we all know that you like to play your Switch, Animal Crossing, and all that kind
I
of stuff
do,
comes
but
up.
I think we should remind the listeners who are listening to us that sometimes Rick hits record and I have no idea what we are going to be talking about. He does. I think sometimes people think we pre-plan these, and we do some of them, right?
And
We
there's
do
probably a lot
some.
of episodes where they're like, these guys have not been thinking about what they're going to talk about.
So this is a challenge for me, actually. So I just want to preempt whatever you're going to talk about to our audience that the ADHD contradiction is that we want to plan. We like the plan. We like to know what's coming. We like to know where we've been, where we're going, where we are now. But there's also that level of risk taking where we also want to frolic and we don't know what we're doing.
Yes.
And so there's a conflict with us as ADHDers. And so in the beginning of this podcast, would you say we're almost 50 episodes in, and it's like you said to me, I'm going to hit record, and what is out there is what's out there. And
Yes.
it frightened me more than anything because I didn't really trust myself to show up and be able to do that because I've not done it. And so even now, almost 50 episodes in, I just
You're
like for
still
the audience,
exactly the same.
I still like for the audience to kind of know that some of the episodes we do talk about, we plan sometimes weeks or days in advance or hours, but sometimes Rick will say, I'm just going to hit record. I have an idea for a topic. Do you trust me to lead this episode? And so I think there always has to be a level of trust when you're doing any sort of project with anybody, whether it's your working team. You know, a lot of times we say that our students are working with their peers and their teachers more than they are their own families or being at home with their own families. And I think if you don't have the level of trust like that, and this whole process of this podcast has taught me this level of trust to go, okay,
Just
it's
trust
okay that I
Rick.
don't know
It's
what's
all
coming.
fine.
Yeah.
You're in
And
capable hands.
yeah, I'm going to be
95%
able
of
to
the
do
time.
it.
The 5% is just going to be absolute wing it for the both of us.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting start. That has nothing to do with anything that I'm
Has
going to
nothing to
actually
do,
talk
but
about.
I wanted the audience to understand before we ever get into it.
You know
I
what?
don't
Let us know
what
in the
we're doing.
comments. We're 3 minutes into this. That have you understood about Tisha's kind of, I don't want to say trust issues, but more.
Wow.
Do you feel
Way
like
to call me out.
Tisha
Way to call me out.
Tisha has better trust in Rick than she did in episode 1. So comment below
Wow.
after you've watched episode 1 and see whether there's a bit of a difference.
I've
with
opened
how
up a can
Tisha,
of worms.
you
I
have.
think.
You really have.
I'm sorry. Okay,
You
I'm
have,
ready.
though.
Let's carry on.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, you like to play Animal Crossing on your Switch. You play
I
a
love
lot
to
of
play
Switch
the
games,
Switch.
don't you?
I do. Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
there's a
your
couple.
downtime.
I do Animal Crossing, Disney's Dreamlight Valley. I've downloaded Stardew Valley. Let me just say, that game is not it for me. It puts me in stressful mode, so I haven't gone back to it. I bought it and played it maybe 1 or 2 times, and it makes me too stressed. But yes, I do love video games, and we've talked about that as a Play at 3 podcast. A lot of the things that we talk about are really rooted in that video. We're the video game generation, I would say.
Yes. Yeah, Gen
So,
X,
mm-hmm,
millennials, and then Gen Z is obviously
sure.
a lot more.
So I think a lot of my thinking comes from that, and a lot of it calms my brain, but there is scientific evidence. Did you know this? There's
Mm.
scientific evidence to Tetris, um, specifically Tetris, and specifically some of these games.
Tisha's currently Googling to make
I
sure she's fact
am.
checking what
I
she's going
want
to
to make
say.
sure. Yes.
Typey, typey,
It's it.
typey.
I don't. They won't be able to hear it, but you
Oh,
can.
no, they will.
Will they? Okay, well, I got a new keyboard, so it would be a relaxing, calming
Louder.
experience for them. Evidence suggests playing Tetris shortly after a traumatic event can act as a cognitive vaccine, which reduces the frequency of intrusive memories and flashback symptoms of PTSD. And I think this is really interesting because,
Mm.
there is, I would say, even probably the generation right now raising Gen X, there are some parents who are pushing back on the video game piece. And this is just specifically Tetris, but I think there is something to this. And I think we forget as adults what the experience was like when we were playing video games. I think we've forgotten. And for me, I never want to forget what it feels like to be a kid. And I talk about that a lot because people can get real serious into adulthood. And so for me, getting kind of vulnerable here, I will tell you that I did experience a traumatic event as a kid. And it's taken years for me to realize that playing Mario Kart and Tetris and some of those video games, the early Nintendo games, the music to those games, I actually listen
Mm.
to when I want to focus and work. I have a
Yep.
playlist actually. And I think that we forget the power of video games, the power of gaming. Last night, Rick, I know you're going to get into your topic, but I want to tell you some stories. They're all
Go on, go on.
related.
Yeah, no, go
Last
on, go on.
night, so Jace had a birthday. He had a sleepover, and I asked them some questions, which we'll talk about some of their. I do a lot of like authentic interviewing and assessment with Jace's friends because I like to hear their perspectives. But what was so interesting, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night. They were making their own pizzas. As you know, you cannot come to my house or be in my space without us learning something. And I always want to give them these tools. And so
It
they had
felt
never
like I
made.
was at school for 2 weeks when I
Stop.
was round.
They had never made pizza. They've not made homemade pizza. So I taught them how to make homemade pizza, and a couple of them have taken culinary, so they were kind of helping, but it was so fascinating to me that they had not really thought through what it takes to do homemade pizza. They want a bacon, you have to cook the bacon first, right? You
Mm-hmm.
want hamburger meat, you have to cook the hamburger meat, the ground beef. Um, they wanted to do stuffed crust, so that was a whole problem-solving
Oh,
aspect. But
crikey.
after I know. So after they finished this pizza, they were finished eating, they had had cake, and then one of them said, "Do you think we could do something that is like critical thinking? Like, can we do something that's going to make us think?" And I was like, "Oh, the day has finally come." They aren't about wrestling. They don't even want to play video. I told you there was going to be a pendulum swing. They don't even really want to
Mm.
play video games.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started talking. I was like, "So what are you thinking? Like, what are you wanting?" And they were like, "We want to all play together. I want to think. I want to like do some deep thinking." And I was like, this is so crazy to me, but they're all brilliant kids. They are so smart. And I just always say that we don't give Gen Z enough credit. They are very, very smart and very attuned. So I went through some question asking with them, and we got to Risk. They wanted to play the game Risk, and we have
Mm.
the game from the 80s.
Oh, yes.
It's a vintage Risk game. And
Yep.
so I got
I
out
think
the
my parents
cards.
is
Yeah.
80s, maybe actually older. They've got they've got like the original
Yeah.
Monopoly,
Like Monopoly, Scrabble. Yeah,
old
I have all of the older
school,
games.
very old
So we
version of
pulled
that.
that down, and it was so fun. And then I was talking to them about Dungeons and Dragons, and if they
Mm.
had a club, and they were like, "We played it," and then I was like, "I want to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons." Like, I think, what is it called whenever you're in charge of the game, the storyline? What is that
Um,
role?
Game Master?
It's called, is it like DM? Dungeon Master. Is that right?
Dungeon Master.
Wow. See, I'm a newbie, but so we're talking about that and they were like, Miss Ponto, you'd be a great Dungeon Master. I was like, that's what I want to do. So I pretended that was my role. So I was reading the instructions, I was giving them, and then they started like strategizing. And I wish I could have recorded this, because we sat down and they started putting their little army men, and I could see their brains working, and I was saying nothing. I was just reading the rules, right? So we talk about give them room to
Mhm.
think. I
Yeah.
was just giving them the rules, and I could see the light bulb come on. And so one of his friends was like, I want to take over all of North America. Says it out loud. And I was like, this is already not going to go well for him, right? He's giving it all away.
Yeah.
And then I was watching the kids who were silent, normally silent, but now very silent. And I knew what was happening.
Mhm.
And so every turn, right, they're doing territories. And one of the silent kids took one of his army men and took over one of the North American territories. I think it was like Ontario or something. I can't remember. And you saw like the kid beside him was like, what are you doing? And it just made me laugh. Now, the interesting thing is they were learning a lot about strategy. And in the beginning, they kind of
Mhm.
wanted to quit. They didn't want to keep going, but I kept encouraging them. I was like, keep going. Let's learn the game. Let's learn the process.
Yeah, because it's
And
not an easy game, Risk, is it?
no, there's lots of rules and so many things kind of happening, 3 solid rules on every turn.
Yeah.
And it was hard for them to kind of remember. So that's what I was just reminding them. And I was like, it's your turn. This is what you're going to do. Don't forget. And so then they would ask questions and challenge the rules. So it was really a great thing. I think they started playing at like 10:30 or 11. And they didn't stop playing till like 3 or 4 a.m.
That
What
does not
the
surprise me.
heck?
That does not
And
surprise me. And
what
you'd
I
already gone to
loved,
bed at this point,
I
I'm
did.
assuming.
Yeah, once they got the hang of it, I just released them. They didn't need me there. They were leading themselves, but it was so interesting because the strategy started from the very beginning, and they learned that very quickly. And the ones who hadn't played did not know. But I think that game teaches so much, even the things that we talk about in the book, these entrepreneurship skills, the way that you show up and you are battling each other in a sense, right? So everybody's trying to get something, and then how authentic are you going to be? So you could see those bonds happening where they were going to be allies, and they were like, I'm not going to touch your territory. It was just so interesting. So it's so social too, which is
Mhm.
what they're yearning for that, and that's what that experience taught me. But I think all gameplay is really important.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why before I'm about to just hand the mic over and mute myself. I know. Gameplay is so important no matter what age you
Mhm.
are.
Yep.
If you are not playing a game, you are missing out on an important piece of the human experience. And I just think that Gen Z specifically have been so used to these video games, the online games, the phone games. They are seeking something social, something with deep thinking, something with strategy. And my question is, are we giving them that experience? And if not, why?
Mm. That's a very, very good question, because I remember back in the days playing on the PlayStation 1. Command and Conquer Red Alert
Mm.
Retaliation was my first game that really
It sounds
got
so
me
abrasive. Red alert.
thinking. It was because it's very similar to the approach with Risk.
Yeah.
You are building an army and going and battling and trying to dominate areas of the map and things
Mhm.
like that. And it was all before online gaming and everything. And what we'd do is we'd get my friend had a PlayStation, I had a PlayStation, we'd link them up. It was 2 discs, so we could both play at the same time. We'd
Mm.
compete together, or we'd become allies and play against the computer.
Yeah.
And it's the same with like Xbox, and the big one was Halo.
Mhm. Mhm.
Halo, doing the meeting up with friends multiple consoles, game night, co-op,
Yeah.
battling, all that kind of stuff. And I feel like we shifted to online gaming, which became so much easier, where everybody has high-speed internet. We all have the game. We all go on at the same time and we play online, but we're never in the same room. We're never
Yeah, yeah.
seeing the reactions, the
Yep.
physical reactions of
Physical.
people.
That's what it was. The physical reactions
Mhm.
to they're rolling the dice and they are jumping up, standing up. You know, they are, oh gosh, they are, I know. They're doing these physical aspects of gameplay that they aren't experiencing when they're on their device.
Yeah. So it's
So
making a huge U-turn, or as they say, like with fashion, it all comes back around, essentially.
yeah, that's
And it's
true.
the same
Yeah.
with gaming. I mean, you've been saying with retro music and
The
clothing
VCRs, the
and
record
all that kind of stuff,
players, the
going back to a
Discmans.
more
You're gonna see
physical
it.
approach rather than everything just being online at your fingertips. That's it. So what I was wanting to actually get into
I'm ready.
was, obviously, as I mentioned, you play a lot of you Switch. You like to play those kind of
I do.
patient,
Calm,
critical
cozy.
thinking, problem solving kind of games. I'm very much the same, or like to play games where I'm collecting, which Animal Crossing has. I also play Pokemon Scarlet, and I'm just started
Is
Pokemon
that one new?
ZA. Hmm?
Are those new? The Pokemon games, are
Pokemon
those 2
Scarlet
new
came out
games?
for the Switch One,
Okay.
and ZA is one that's come out fairly recently, is available for Switch One, but they also have a Switch 2 edition. Um, and you obviously, if you don't know Pokemon, it's all about going and catching them all. So it's very much like that collection game. The problem that I have with them, though, is Pokemon games have always
I
been
love how you just went into the problem I have with them.
Yeah, the problem I have with them, though,
Okay. What is
Pokemon
it?
games are renowned for not having any verbal dialogue, in the
Okay.
sense of having the characters actually speak, voice speakers, like you have with a
So,
lot of
like,
games.
audio.
Yeah, and it doesn't have any text to speech
Mm.
systems or anything like that.
Mhm.
And I've noticed Animal Crossing was very similar, but not to the same extent. Because I'm dyslexic, and one of the things that I know is when I start reading, I become very tired very quickly, because I'm having to spend more time actually consuming what I'm reading. It's a lot more challenging, it requires a lot more effort, and it becomes very tiresome. And that's what I've found with a little bit of Animal Crossing at the beginning, not so much now that I've made a bit more progress, and I'm not
Sure.
that far into it. I'm not 7 million bells like Tish. And it's the same with Pokemon. I played Pokemon ZA for the first time last night, and I got about an hour and a half in, and I was feeling tired for the volume of reading that was going into it. So the one question I had for you, Tish, first off was, do you know the difference between accessibility
I
and
thought you were gonna say
inclusivity?
okay, hold on. I thought you were gonna say, "Do I know the Muffin Man?" I'm sorry. It was the way you were saying it. Do you know? That's my ADHD brain. I know if you were listening and you're neurodivergent, you understand what I'm saying. People will say a phrase and you finish it in your head.
Do you know the Muffin Man? The one that lives on Drury Lane?
I do, actually. Let me tell you about it. No, I'm going to answer your question. I want to ask you, though, about, because you were playing these Pokemon games, and I saw a new one came out. I can't say it. It's like Animal Crossing.
I'm just gonna let you, because funnily enough, it was a word that I was looking at, and I just went, "It's a Japanese game, therefore you speak it like how the Japanese do."
Okay, well, that helps me none. So can you please help me with this pronunciation?
Pokopia.
Pokopia. Do you have that game?
I do not, but I'm very interested because it's got a
It's
very,
similar.
very good rating.
And it's very similar
And
to Animal Crossing from what I've read and seen online. So I was wondering if you were playing that one. Now, I want to go back and talk a little bit because you talked about the heavy reading. And I want to talk about the story that I was telling in the beginning. And we've talked about this a little bit, and I don't know if it is my natural educator brain and heart that will accommodate for people around me without them ever asking. But I read the instructions. You heard me say that in the beginning. I took that whole, am I saying something wrong? Why? What are you doing?
I might have said the game name wrong.
Oh, you're not with me.
Pokopia.
Pokopia.
Anyway,
Oh God.
if I've said it wrong, let me know in the comments. I thought I was
I'm
getting
sure
it
someone
right.
will.
I was being too cocky. I was being too
Okay,
cocky with
well,
it.
listen.
Anyway,
Let's get
Pokopia.
back on track here.
Anyway,
This is my fault. This is my fault that we have gotten off track, and I'm sorry to our listeners yet again. He is not going to come back, you guys. He's looking it up, so we're going to give him this time. And while he's looking it up, I am just going to say what I was saying earlier, which is I accommodate for people around me with, Pokopia.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got it right.
Good.
Sorry, what are you saying? I'm back with you now. Hi, everybody.
Good. I was saying that I want to talk about the heavy reading in the game. I want to talk about what I was saying earlier. I think I naturally, and I've not really thought about this until you and I met, and I was accommodating for you without even really, we never made a big deal about it. I think you told me you were dyslexic one time and it just stuck with me, and I just knew what to do to help accommodate for you, right? I mean, like, it wasn't a discussion. We didn't talk about it. You didn't lay out a list for me. And I think just the years of experience in the classroom, when I'm sitting down with a group of kids or even adults, I am very cognizant that they need the time to read more. But I'm also cognizant that in that moment, I didn't want them to spend all their time reading the booklet. I kind of wanted to get them set up on the game. The interesting thing is, once I walked away, one of the kids picked up the booklet and started reading it himself. And so I think that there is a lot to be said for some people, just like with any situation. I mean, if you ask me to build a birdhouse, I'm probably just gonna go buy the wood and have my hammer and nails and not really probably not gonna look anything up till I get stuck, right? But other people are going to read through the manual and watch the videos for hours before they even go buy their supplies, right? And then they're going to refer to something. So I think the approach to gaming is so interesting. But with Animal Crossing, what I've noticed, and some people get frustrated with it, but I think you and I talked about that you really enjoy this piece to it because it isn't so heavy on your mind. The dialogue repeats depending on what you're doing.
It's
so if you're
very repetitive.
if you're going to the Nook shop, that interaction with the Nook owners is going to be the same every time. And you've got 4 options. So you don't have to do a lot of cognitive load. It's like, okay, let me just choose the one I need and move on. But for example, for me in Disney Dreamlight Valley, heavy reading, heavy storyline, and a lot of check boxes that you have to get through in order to achieve a goal. And if anything, for me, that has been difficult. I have to be in the right mindset to play that game because I know that my brain Rick called me before this episode and was like, Tisha, we need to record. And I was like, wait, I need to go find some sand so I can create some glass so that I can create this empty vial. And it was my last check mark. And this is where that ADHD comes in. I have to finish and check that check mark before I can move on to the next thing that I need to do, which was to record the podcast. So I think games like that, the heavy reading, I totally get that. And then Stardew Valley, right now for me, Stardew Valley is the depths of hell because I'm going to tell you why. And then I'm going to answer. We're coming back to your question. We're looping back. But It's because the game how do I even explain this? You go onto the game and it's 8 a.m. and within 30 minutes it's already noon. And my brain is like, nope.
It's going way too fast for you.
What do you mean it's noon? And I gotta go do all these check marks and still get back to my house before nightfall so I don't die? It's never happening because I want to frolic around the forest. So that's what I want to say. Okay, back to your question.
That is one thing that I do love about Animal Crossing is that it sticks to the real life time, and that certain
and it has a clock up there for us.
Yeah, there's certain creatures that only appear at night
at certain
and
times
daytime,
and certain days.
days or months of the year. And
Did
stuff
you
like
know, Rick?
It's a slow patience game. Go on.
If you put a grandfather clock in your house, or if you put
Vecna
a little
turns up.
street clock, what?
Vecna turns up.
No.
Stranger Things.
No.
All right, okay.
If
you said
put
grandfather
those,
clock, I'm thinking Vecna. So
if you put any clock anywhere on your island, even on the beach, in the little main area, in your house, it will ding at the top of the hour every hour so that you know. And I love that because for me, that consciousness of time, I'm like, an hour has passed. Another hour has passed, right? But with Stardew Valley...
do you need to be near it for it to ding, or can you
no,
just be anywhere
you'll
on the
hear
island
it.
and it'll just
you'll hear it. It will ding. You should just... I'll gift you a clock so that you can practice it.
Thank you. So I can practice hearing the ding.
You practice the time. No, but back to your original question. Can you please repeat it for our audience?
I knew you'd forget.
Well, for me and the audience, because we did a very full, large circle.
I mean, I just wanted an answer to my question, and you decided to go on a full...
I wanted to know about your
exploration, like being Frodo taking the ring to Mordor or something. So my question was, what is the difference between accessibility and inclusivity in gaming?
Okay, inclusivity is like anybody, no matter what, has the ability to play the game. Remember the other day, so Rick and I... Oh, he's about to argue with me, but that's fine.
Continue.
Well, do you remember the other day? So Rick and I, he visits my island, or I visited yours. Now I can't remember which it was, but there was a challenge where you have to do the exercise. You got to do the stretching.
Oh, yes, that was
and
on yours.
You accidentally pressed the wrong option. For you, it was the wrong option, but for other people, it would have been a good option. So they give you an option to stand up and use your joysticks and physically do the movement and the stretches, or keep sitting if you can't stand and do the little option with the buttons, right?
Okay. Yep.
Accessibility is going to be where, for all the reading, you have the option to have the game say it out loud to you like the screen reader, but you're going to argue, so we might as well get into this argument.
It's practically the other way around.
Are you sure?
Yeah, accessibility is about designing to remove unintentional mismatches between players and the game, enabling people with disabilities or special requirements to play. So that's your accessibility. So like what you were giving with the examples.
The buttons and the...
So it's a functional approach.
Okay.
The inclusivity in gaming is experiential. So inclusivity refers to a design approach that intentionally embraces diversity and inclusion throughout the entire development process to create a sense of belonging, representing diverse skin colors, body types, cultures, genders, and neurodivergent perspectives.
Ooh, really?
Yep. So it makes everybody feel welcome as a whole and a community. So,
well, Stardew Valley does not do that for me.
Yes, and neither does Pokemon. Pokemon does. It covers a lot of things. This is the thing. I feel like there's a lot of games that accommodates for a lot of these things, because accessibility and inclusivity has become so important and so prevalent in your top end games. Do I say AAA games, AA games? Even lower down. I think indie games not so much, because obviously funding can be a bit tougher for them. So things like accessibility and inclusivity might be something that comes later on, but it is becoming more and more readily available, like color contrast for people with poor visibility, who are
Oh, I've noticed
colorblind,
that.
as text to speech, even controllers. It's not just about the games, it's the controllers that they're using, how being able to change the controls on your controller so that you are able to interact in the easiest way for your mobility. But it amazes me how some games, even top level games, are still missing out on some of these levels of inclusivity. So, for example, as you're typing away right now, are you
Because I'm going to
making
come
notes?
back. I'm making notes.
You're
Yeah.
making notes. Okay. I might have to mute Tish while I'm speaking so that her keyboard
I'll
doesn't
mute
appear.
myself.
No, you don't need to. I'll just hide you. Just take her off the
Now the
screen.
spot. That's so sad.
So this is the Player 3 podcast, and it's only me now. No, but I find it amazing how a lot of games don't have these levels of inclusivity, like the Pokemon games. They have always stuck to, you have text and you have to read it. Obviously, you can skip through it, but you're going to miss things that you didn't know about, and that's not going to elevate your gameplay. So for me, when I was having to play these games, like Pokemon, there's a lot of reading all the way through. It's not like Animal Crossing where it's a repetitive thing. There is constant dialogue where there is no text to speech abilities. It is pure subtitles, and you've got to read it every single time. And that does make it harder for the likes of me. And it does make me wonder how many other games, top level games, that are missing on this inclusivity for so many people, because we do have inclusivity in the likes of embracing skin color and body type and gender and those kind of areas. But then in the accessibility side of things, it's this one thing that seems to be, we'll do it later approach.
We'll do it
Even in
later.
the pardon?
I said we'll do it later. Anytime you're saying we're going to do something later, anybody, it usually means you're not going to do it.
Yes. Yeah, is usually the outcome of it. That's kind of like the what was it? The real meaning of messages. I remember Barack Obama having I can't remember his name. He's a comedian. He did these sketches. I can't remember anyway. It basically had Obama saying a few things, and then this comedian was basically showing what they actually mean, like his anger management kind of person. Tisha is not giving me
No,
anything from this.
Well, I'm listening to what you're saying.
She's listening, but not giving me anything back in, yes, you're right. This is the actual answer. I'm literally just rolling with it, hoping that I'm actually going the right direction.
I was trying to mute myself. I wanted to kind of talk about, you said, I'll do it later, like a lot of these games. And what I was actually doing, so if you've been listening long enough, as Rick is saying things, it's prompting an idea. Now I'm typing it out so that I can then present it and share it with all of you. I took Animal Crossing, the Pocopia, the Disney Dreamlight Valley, Stardew Valley PC, and Stardew Valley console. Like, I took those to see and rate the accessibility and inclusivity of them. So we'll do accessibility first. Animal Crossing has the most accessibility. It has the most documented features, and that would make sense why so many people love it and play it, and it looks like it's a cult following. So if you are an educator, or you're listening from an ed tech company, or you are an engineer, or you're designing
Game
anything,
developer,
anything, UX, UI, it could be anything you're doing. If you really want that cult following, if you really want people to use your product, this proves that if you don't put accessibility at the top and you're with the intention of doing it, not we're going to do it later, not we're going to come back to that next roadmap, we're going to add that in, we're going to slot it. No, like it needs to be free. This is a reason that accessibility piece puts Animal Crossing at the very top of the ones I listed, right? So I just listed a couple. Dreamlight Valley has 3 stars, where Animal Crossing has 4. Dreamlight Valley has 3 stars. It's approachable, but there are few formal features within the game. Again, a ton of reading. And sometimes whenever it's on the Switch, I notice the text is so small, and I can zoom in if I want, but there's only a couple of options for that. And Stardew Valley has the least, actually, for accessibility, which does not surprise me at all. So now let's ask Claude today about inclusivity to these 3. The representation, as Rick said, the cultural sensitivity, the different kinds of players, do they feel seen in the game? Looking at how they all compare. I have guesses. Do you have any guesses on what's going to be the least? So if you're talking Animal Crossing, the Pokemon games, Stardew Valley, Dreamlight Valley, those are the ones that I put in because we were talking about them. Which one do you think is going to be the least inclusive?
I'm going to say, what was it? Starlight Valley?
Stardew Valley?
Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Is the
This is
least
going to be
inclusive.
interesting. Oh my gosh. Actually, surprising. Again, we're asking Claude these questions. It's giving every one of them a star rating. And here are the results. It does say, do I want to factor in Pokopia? I have to think about saying that word. Because I'm still probably saying it wrong. Rick wants to correct me. If you're not watching the video, you can tell by his face if he's going to correct me. Okay, he's being quiet. Pokopia. I'm still not saying it
Yeah,
right.
a lot of people have been saying Pokopia as the...
Okay. Do you want to know...
in English kind of wording, it makes sense, but when you actually look at the pronunciation, it's Pokopia. Very Japanese approach of every syllable.
Okay. You'll remind us, because I'll forget.
Pokopia kind of thing. Anyway.
Okay, you ready? The most inclusive character creator game, Disney Dreamlight Valley, out of the ones that I listed. Dreamlight Valleys stand out for representation and character creation. Avatar creation is uniquely diverse and inclusive. Multiple skin tones, body types, feminine, masculine, androgynous, options for pigmentation, body weight, different body weights, hairstyles, bendies, headscarves, turbans, facial hair.
That's good. That's very good.
They have a ton. Next, this one makes me laugh. Animal Crossing most inclusive in spirit. Instead of asking you to select a gender, you choose a style of either masculine or feminine, which can be changed at any point. And NPCs barely use gender language at all. The skin tones added are still very light and don't represent a full range of players, and disability representation is minimal. So, outside of a wheelchair. Yeah. Stardew Valley, this one's interesting. Best for romance, weakest for racial diversity. I don't even want to talk about this game.
Okay.
I just have...
Let's not even go there.
This game is insane.
That's shocking.
It's just... I know there is, they do have a cult following too, but I'm just not feeling Stardew Valley, and maybe I'll change my mind. I'll come back and edit my...
That's the thing. It could be down to the neurodivergence. If it's not very inclusive, or inclusive or accessible, then we become a bit deterrent without actually understanding why.
Yeah, that's a great point. I had not known why because everybody was talking about how much they love it. And
Mm,
then I got in there and I was like, for what reason?
yeah,
Pokemon, most culturally diverse world with binary player character. So they have strengths with their BIPOC characters for 3 decades, actually. So
yeah.
you kind of start
30 years
looking at
old.
that. And then Pokopia,
Round of applause.
very cozy, low pressure, but it's only on the Switch too. And it's new.
Mm,
It gets 3.5 stars just because it's so new. Animal Crossing still gets the full 4 stars.
okay.
Disney Dreamlight Valley has the 3. It's very interesting when you do this, but this is something that I would probably do with my students. So
Mm,
talking through inclusivity, accessibility, talking through how to critically think through decision making and how you're going to purchase a game because those games are not cheap. So that's the
no,
other piece
no.
to it is they're really expensive and not everybody has access to those games, which is why esports is so important in schools.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I've got today, Rick.
That's a very, very good point what you just said. How to
Thank you.
introduce this kind of level of
Critical
thinking when
thinking.
it comes
Yeah.
to
Decision
game
making.
design, game development, and even the
Mhm.
prioritization of
The user.
certain functionality. Why
Yeah.
the idea of why do we do these things
Mhm.
is so, so important rather than just thinking we want to make something that looks great because this is what we like,
Yeah.
which is what a lot of games were in the past. Same with websites, same with a lot of things.
Mhm.
And there's so much importance in inclusivity across the board that
So
we have
much.
to take those things into consideration because there is a huge demographic there that is, well, was being missed originally. And now we're in a situation where it's become more and more of a requirement. There are areas where it's being missed, but a lot of games are being more and more inclusive, which is great to see.
Rick, there is one game that I want to learn how to play in person besides Dungeons and Dragons.
Football,
Do you know I can play football.
which version? The real football or the fake football?
Are you going to say the American football or the British football?
I said real football or fake football, so you
we
tell
can't,
me.
we got to stop the conversation here because I think we're just going to get into another argument. We are almost
I've
50
literally
episodes.
just turned our entire US
I
demographic
know.
audience.
We'll
Well,
get them
they
back.
still love you. They just don't like me anymore.
We will get them back,
Either
but
way, we all love you, and we love that you listen to the podcast. Thank you. Please don't leave because I said that. I said fake football.
we're gonna end it there. We don't want to open up any more can of worms. We're almost 50 episodes in, and we are
Yes.
so excited to bring you some really great episodes coming soon. If you
Mm.
are interested in being a guest, we want to have you, whether it is your 50th podcast guest episode or your first. We would love to have you join us and talk about something that's important to you, no matter what that is. And I'm going to remind all of you and Rick to make sure this week you are carving out time to play a game.
I like it. I love it. Yes, I will be carving out time to play video games.
Good.
I will choose what I'm going to use to carve that time out straight after this episode.
Okay.
If you've enjoyed the episode, please give it a thumbs up, give us a follow wherever you are listening to. If you want to follow us on socials, all the links are in the description below. We'd love to hear from you in there. Comment, send us DMs, whichever you feel like doing. My name's Rick, and this lovely person is Tisha Poncio. And I've never done that before. I'm never doing it again.
Not sure what was happening. You have gotten thrown off so many times on your own episode. This was your like, hey
I
Tisha, we're gonna
know.
record.
I know. I know. It's the way it goes. But thank you for listening. And
Yeah.
until next week, we'll see you then. Bye for now.
Bye.